Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is October 7th, and I'm joined here with Dr. J. Dr. J, how you doing today?
Doing pretty well. I mean, wow, what a few days we've had in crypto land. And I'm sorry that I've been distracted and pushed to other places, CJ, but man, the cryptos have been hot. The market's been volatile. And I finally, by the way, found something, CJ, more volatile than crypto, and that is natural gas. Because natural gas, in particular, they have this one double natural gas future called BOIL, BOIL. And this had a volatility of 255% yesterday. Bitcoin, on the other hand, has a volatility of low 70s right now. So gives you an idea of Bitcoin seems a lot more steady than natural gas, which, by the way, in Europe yesterday, CJ, natural gas made a 40% upside move and then a 44% downside move. Same day. You can't tell me you've ever seen that in Bitcoin, where you've seen Bitcoin up, 10% in the morning and down 10% in the afternoon. I've never seen it. I've seen that maybe over the course of a week, but I've not seen that in the same session, 24 hours, in this case, 6 hours. Yeah, it's the week has been long already, and it's not done yet.
Yeah, I don't think Bitcoin's done that. I mean, at least since the early days.
Sorry, I had my mic too far away, CJ. Sorry about that.
No, all good. But I'm glad you bring up some energy, because I want to ask you a question. At the conference, I was talking with one of our analysts, Chris Sikora, and he was saying, personally, my belief on the market is that we're kind of just, with this decline, we're seeing a rotation out of equities and more into energy before, the trend kind of goes back up and creates potentially new all-time highs. Before we get into Bitcoin, I was just kind of interested in, what's your opinion on that? Do you have a particular take?
Well, and I think you nailed it earlier this year, CJ, when we first noted that, well, even last year, I guess I should say, when we saw during the February to March drawdown period in 2020, at the peak of COVID fear, we saw Bitcoin moving down with the market. Some of that is understandable because, even though some assets, we talk about them being uncorrelated to the market, when people are scared, almost every asset loses value. It would be true of real estate too, except that it takes weeks or months to move real estate, and you're paying 6% fee to the broker to move your real estate. But the more you make things point and click available, the more that when people are scared, they do go to cash. I think a lot of people in our space, CJ, the crypto space, probably went to the likes of, the Tethers of the world, the USDT and things like that when they got scared. And not a terrible move, probably a relatively smart move, in fact. I've got Alexa. She picked up on me talking about Tether, and all of a sudden was giving me the price of Tether in the background. I know what the price of Tether is, Alexa. It doesn't move. It's always $1. But anyway, so to your point, though, when like Chris Sikora was saying out in Vegas, there definitely has been a surge in energy, and I addressed that a little bit with the nat gas comments already. But I think energy just keeps going. And one of the reasons I know it's going to keep going, CJ, a little bit of a hiccup today, a little bit of a profit taking or whatever yesterday and today on that big washout of nat gas futures over in London. But I think the reason it keeps going is now all the market prognosticators, all of the folks who really don't put their money in the market, like you and I, they're all saying, well, the market can tolerate $130 per barrel oil, because right now we're, just shy of 80, but they're saying, oh, we can tolerate 130. No, we can't. I don't know who they think I mean, does it mean that the planet is over and that we all just buy oblong boxes, coffins? No, it doesn't mean that. But when you say tolerate it, do you mean that we'll survive it? Of course we will. But do you mean that the market will still be at 4,500 for the S&P or whatever? No effing way. No effing way. We will see a 20% correction if we're at 100. You heard it here. We'll see a 20% correction if we hit 130 and sustain for more than just a blip like that credit that crude oil was at last year because you couldn't get storage. CJ, you remember that? If we see the same sort of thing for just a day, yeah, the market could tolerate it for a day, but I don't think we can sustain $100 oil without it doing massive damage to, let me name a few, all of the retailers. Because how do they get that last mile? It's all hydrocarbons. That last mile from these intermodal facilities, as much as we would hope, and in the future we will have electric trucks taking it. Nope, that's all diesel right now, CJ. That's all diesel. And even, in fact, those little smaller trucks that pull up with the Amazon Prime written on them, those are probably diesel. Some of them are gas. Very few of them are electric. And by the way, you got to generate electricity somehow, which is one of the big problems overseas right now with the spike in natural gas, because they use natural gas when they have peak demand because it's practically instant on. We all know that. But my gosh, no, all of the transportation sector, all of the consumer discretionary purchases, and think how much consumers would cut back on driving, on spending and so forth if it's going to cost them $7 or $8 to fill their tank. Because right now it's $5 in parts of the country already, and that's at $80 a barrel. Imagine what it's going to be like if we hit 130. I don't think we get there and sustain there. It's just not in the cards right now.
You heard it here, folks. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting with this decoupling that we're seeing kind of with Bitcoin. I wouldn't say it's a true decoupling due to the point that you made, John. It's like, this isn't a true liquidity crisis like what we saw at the start of COVID, where, we had overwhelming fear. It's kind of, I don't want to call it complacency, but it's not fear like that. It's not, grab your phone and sell everything you have at a click of a button. But with that being said, I do want to get into Bitcoin a little bit and do a short recap of kind of how we've gotten up to 55 and then close to 56K. And now that we're kind of backing off, what can we expect? So I have these white arrows highlighted on the chart, and they have to do with support and resistance levels, namely how price has been squeezed between these Fibonacci resistance and support levels historically. We had this one when we had first broken above that 20 smooth moving average. It was almost like a spring, right? We had that final test of the low and then a spring upward, similar to how we had a spring very recently from just below 44K. We saw supply absorption here from these wicks as well as here. And then the trend really started to accelerate upward as we kind of, we had that inverse head and shoulders pattern really come to fruition. Now we are approaching some overbought levels, kind of similar to what we saw in the RSI when we ran into the 42K resistance level. We're first starting to get into overbought territory and tick down just a bit. So due to the fact that we're doing that at a pretty solid resistance level, it wouldn't surprise me if we took a couple tries to actually break through 56K here. But overall, I don't think we're going to go below these next fib levels, namely at around 52K to 50K. And then even if we do, we have really a nice downside risk target of this smooth moving average that's going to be coming up, similar to how, when we were rejected at that 44 to 45K level, we came back and found support at the 20 smooth moving average. So at the very least, if we are to kind of fall, I think we're going to find support at that level very nicely. Also, the thing that I want to show in terms of the weekly chart with Bitcoin here, and then, yeah, of course, you can see the S&P, all major indices up at least 1% today. So really bullish overall. But there's one thing on the weekly chart that I think is very interesting, which is where we are currently with this candle. And if you look at like the candle body closes on the weekly chart, this just looks extraordinarily bullish to me because we just had the breakout of the symmetrical triangle and we are only about 10% to, that candle body close on the weekly chart in terms of an all-time high. So we're much closer than it initially kind of seems, but I think that's just a very bullish posture on the weekly chart as well.
Well, I had a quick one for you. I think that's very insightful and certainly helpful. And by the way, folks, the shameless plug is that if you want some insights like that throughout the day, not just on the Daily Crypto Byte at 10:13 in the morning East Coast time, if you want that throughout the day, you get that with CJ, Monty, and the team that they've assembled, as well as a bunch of really smart traders, many of which were nice enough to come up to us out in Vegas and say hello. And there's a lot of, I don't know how many years, if there's a couple thousand people in that room, CJ, maybe there's collectively several thousands of years of experience between all the traders. But the Daily Crypto Room at Market Rebellion costs you is it still just $1 for the first month, CJ?
You can get the first week for $7.
First week for it's $1 a day now. See, they should have taken us up on it when it was $1 for the first month. Now it's $7 for the first week. But you can go to marketrebellion.com/try crypto. That's still the same handle, marketrebellion.com/try crypto. And you'll get that kind of insight for a host of coins, not just the top 5 coins or anything else. But if I could, CJ, I'd love to also sort of plug a great article that I read in Forbes that I would encourage. I tweeted it out this morning. I'd encourage all of you to read it. You should be able to see it for free on the internet if you follow my link on Twitter. And my handle, of course, is just at Jon Najarian. FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. It's a great article. It talks about it. He's the cover story of Forbes, and it talks about how he is the richest 29-year-old in the world and how he did it. It's a pretty amazing story. A lot of my friends that have been lucky enough to meet Sam and the team over at FTX, I've met a few of them. I haven't met Sam yet. So Sam, come up to me at one of the next events, or CJ, because we'd love to shake your hand. You're doing great work, my friend. But true visionary, and it basically tells how he did it and how he continues to do it and how he plans to give it away. So it's it's not a typical rah-rah, I'm the greatest guy in the world story. It's a lot of work, a team that he basically built so that he could take that arbitrage that CJ and Monty and I have talked about, how much more crypto trades for instance, in Korea, and how you can arbitrage it because a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin, but getting it over, being able to buy it over in Korea or sell it means you have to have more or less, it's not just a question of clicking and buying it here and clicking and selling it there. It's not quite that easy. But that's really one of the ways that he built his empire, was starting with that, just simple arbitrage. but again, not quite as simple as I just described. It's much deeper with banking relationships and all the rest. But great read, CJ. It's just a great read. It's in Forbes right now. The October 6th cover of Forbes is Sam Bankman-Fried.
I was watching the wild card game a little bit last night, and you get those constant reminders of FTX logo on each umpire's uniform. So it's great. I love what they're doing to the space, and what they've brought in terms of what they can serve the clients. So
yeah, I agree. Really, really solid firm, both the international and the FTX US. And they're not paying us to say that. But you know who is, CJ? Voyager Digital. So Voyager Digital is the sponsor of this show. They are the primary broker that I use for my trading, not for my hodling, but for my trading of crypto. You can get paid double digits. I think Polkadot right now is still paying close to 12% for Polkadot deposited on your Voyager Digital account. And if you open an account there and you type into the promo box Rebel 25, you'll get $25 in Bitcoin. In fact, after you've joined, if you tell friends about it, then you'll get paid again. And so will they. So make sure if you go to Voyager Digital, if you're looking for free trading, 60 plus cryptos, a great app, and solid support, can't do better than Voyager Digital. It's where I choose to trade, and they're a sponsor of the show.
Yeah, I love the interest. I think that's one of the most primary reasons why I push people towards Voyager, is the interest that they can earn. But Jon, any doges of the day today, sir?
Let me see, sir. Yes, in fact, I just need to pull it back up here. And no, it's not going to be Shiba Inu for all of you people who keep throwing SHIB at me. It's up only 220% in the last week, CJ, 42% in the last 24 hours. Seems like every time I look at it, it's up 40%. But no, I'm not doing that one. It has 4 zeros before you get to the 2. So it's 0.00002284. That's where it's trading this morning. Traded somewhat, is that 14 million? No, that's actually, $14 billion in volume. Just exploding volume there. So it's one of those that I missed. I really can't jump on the train there, but I am taking a flyer on one that you probably never heard me do before, CJ, and that's Ripple, XRP. I've traded it here and there, but I've never really talked about it because of their regulatory overhang. And I know not everybody can trade it because you need a VPN connection to trade it, because if you're in America, you can't trade it. It's banned on most of the US exchanges, but I'm doing a little Ripple here, and it's up about 10% since I bought it. Again, not for everybody, but just for a trade.
Yeah. There is actually one place I've found in which you can get Ripple in the United States, which is Uphold. There are a couple of cryptos that aren't on Voyager or kind of the mainstream exchanges that I've used that brokerage for, but you can buy XRP on that. Now, Jon, I have to ask the follow-up question. Is this because you think there's going to be a favorable outcome for the SEC lawsuit and the kind of legal battle that Ripple and regulators have been having?
Believe it or not, no. I don't know. I don't have any insight that beyond just that I think Gensler is really going to go after them hard because they like to make examples. The SEC, that's one of the main things they do is when they get somebody the first time, they really try to make an example of them. They're accused of doing an unregistered securities offering because they deemed the money raised by Ripple was for a security. I'm not saying that that's correct, but I am saying that that regulatory overhang is why that coin struggles so mightily to get back over $1. It did get up this summer into the 140, 160 range again. But quite frankly, I'm just doing it because of the volume pickup, CJ. So volume, volatility, velocity, my 3 V's. That's why I'm doing it.
Very nice.
How
I
about
do
you?
want to,
Do you have one for us today,
you
or
know,
more
my
than
doge of
one?
the day, yeah, more than one. It's going to be kind of a theme that I want to hit on in
All
terms of the
right.
altcoin market space, because now that Bitcoin is coming down a little bit, or if it just kind of consolidates, sees a little profit taking, I do think we will see a short-term rotation into some of the major cap alts, like ETH, and a lot of those that have really a nice formation in terms of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. So when we look at ETH, we have the supply absorption of the left shoulder. We have the same thing at the head, but now we're coming very close to really breaking that neckline and breaking out potentially into the $4,000 price levels. And so there's a lot of assets that are currently postured like this. Also, I would look at DOT. I did add to my DOT yesterday night, and I wouldn't mind either doing it today. But you can see, I really like this accumulation cylinder that we're starting to see in DOT. It really looks like it's postured for a lot of upside here. So those are ones that I'm really going to be watching. But overall, I would look for assets that, similar to Bitcoin, have had that inverse head and shoulders pattern that are above the 20 smooth moving average, but just quite have not broken the neckline just yet. But I think there's a lot that are really aiming and are postured to break out, because if we look at the total altcoin market cap, excluding Bitcoin, I think we have a really bullish and very traditional cup and handle pattern. And we're coming very close to creating a new high and breaking the top of that cup, which means we're very likely to continue higher, possibly to the $1.6 trillion range or even the $1.8 trillion range. I saw a question here that had been asked regarding kind of a rising wedge pattern potentially. I think that when you zoom out and look at the total market cap from a longer term perspective, I think that we're starting to see that inverse head and shoulders pattern really come to fruition. And if you even zoom out even more and go to the weekly chart, you have an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is bullish, inside a much larger bullish structure, which is that cup and handle pattern. So, the alts are looking good as Bitcoin sees a little profit taking here. But overall, that is the general theme that I would be looking for here going into the end of the week. But that's what I've got in terms of assets that I'm interested in and kind of doges of the day. So, like Jon had mentioned earlier, if you'd like to go beyond just the doge of the day and beyond the daily crypto bite, we provide insights and analysis like this around the clock in our crypto room. You can check it out down at the link below, marketrebellion.com/try crypto. Also, if you're already a member, you like this content, and you'd like to share it with a friend, we've now implemented refer a friend program. So you will get $25 for each friend that you refer to Market Rebellion Crypto, and your friend will get $25 off their first month subscription as well. So we really appreciate that, guys. We've really been growing the community. We've just added sentiment data and a lot of new cool stuff. So we really encourage you to check it out. But with that, I'll leave it. Jon, any final words, sir?
I think we are likely to have, and this isn't a big leap, I don't think, CJ, but they keep ratcheting down how low the employment number could be to have the Fed absolutely endorse the November meeting move, which I'd say is 95% there, CJ. I mean, high conviction, 95%. The Fed will announce the taper in November Fed meeting that will begin in December of this year. And they keep ratcheting down the numbers. Some say as few as 300,000 jobs would still let the Fed make that move. The fact that they're ratcheting it down, I don't know really why, because the ADP report yesterday, the private payrolls number, was so good and above expectations, CJ, that I don't know how the regular number could fall to really into those 300,000 or 400,000 range. So But the fact that they're saying that, they're buying themselves more room. So I'd say that's what's given me the 95% conviction that we are getting that. And tomorrow's jobs report, unless it was just horrible, and it almost can't be given the ADP numbers of 500,000. That I can't imagine that with the government as well as the private payrolls that we can get anywhere near those lower numbers. So I think we might actually have a number pushing a lot closer to 1 million, which then the runway's there for the Fed, and the fact that Mitch McConnell offered that extension of the debt ceiling into December. I mean, I think all that sets up for the 95% chance that we get the taper announcement in November. So that's what I'm looking for. Jobs report now is an afterthought tomorrow, unless it's just terrible. And I really can't imagine that it would be.
Well, there's certainly going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be interesting going on in Q4. But folks, thank you for watching the Daily Crypto Byte. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a great day and take care.
Thank you.